Hello, and you may be wondering, what the hell is this? Well, if you look at the number of this video, 364, divide that by 52, you get 7, meaning that this is the 7th year anniversary of Unit of the Week. Jesus Christ, it's a lot of units. Anyway, I thought for this year's anniversary special, we go back to our roots, and also with the South Africa DLC, which surprisingly came out of nowhere, adding more unique, interesting units into the game. I thought it'd be cool if we go back and start covering some Wargame Unit of the Weeks. And this isn't just going to be a one-time thing. I feel like for the next few weeks I'm going to cover some Wargame units, as I do kind of miss covering them. But after that, we'll probably go back and forth between Steel Division and Wargame, just depending what I feel like doing that week, essentially. So yeah, this is kind of a soft reboot of the Wargame Unit of the Week series. And, well, for this week's unit, we are going to be looking at the Rooikat 105. So throughout the 70s, the main armoured car of the South African Defence Force was the Eland 90 and the Ratel 90, both armed with 90mm low velocity guns. Come the 80s, when fighting against the Angolians with T-55 tanks, these 90mm guns performed pretty poorly. The T-55s managed to outrange them in open combat, and so there was a need for a more heavily armed armoured car. There have been many proposed prototypes and design replacements for the 90mm armoured cars, but essentially a Cheetah Mark II, which would eventually be known as Rooikat, would win over the competition and would enter service in 1987. It was an 8-reeled armoured car, armed with an Otto Merler 76mm cannon, which is, yes, similar to the gun armed in the Automatic. Now, by 1994, there was a proposal for a 105mm model of the Rooikat with the classic 105mm NATO gun, but this would only ever end up being a prototype and would never actually see service in the real world. But because this is Wargame and the Cold War went very hot, of course it entered into service. In-game, the Rooikat 105 is a 50-point tank, quotation mark, even though it's more of an armoured car, available to South Africa. And it has 2 weapons. So you have the MOC 105 with 24 rounds of ammunition. It's a pretty damn good gun with max cannon range of 2.275 kilometers, very accurate, a respectable AP of 17, and a decent rate of fire of 8 rounds a minute. Great for knocking out light and some more medium armoured tanks. And then you have an MG4. No, it's not the fancy German thing from Battlefield 4, but it's really just an M1919. And if we pop down to the miscellaneous stats, it has 3 frontal armor, 2 at the side, 1 at back, and 1 at top. It has 10 HP with medium size, medium optics, a respectable off-road speed of 120 km an hour, and 150 km on the road. Has poor stealth, an autonomy of 1,000 km. It is a prototype unit, and it is type restricted to motorized and armored decks. Geez, I forgot how many miscellaneous stats there were in Wargame units. So in battle, the Rooikat 105 is really the penultimate unit of the South Africa DLC. It pretty much encapsulates the DLC in one concise unit, and I know it's the reason that you, the viewer, brought this bloody DLC to begin with. It's a very fast vehicle with alright armor penetration, which requires quite a bit of finesse to use effectively. As you see, the Rooikat 105 is essentially an upgraded version of everyone's favourite CV Russian vehicle, the AMX-10RC SB. The main advantage that the Rooikat has is its speed, because the speed of the Rooikat is really its main weapon. I mean, it's the fastest tank in the game by quite a country mile. 120 km an hour, you can make it from one end of the field to the other in really just a few minutes. It doesn't take all that long to get across the map. And with that speed, the most important thing with your Rooikat is your placement. Because in head-on fights, as you might expect with its poor armor, you're going to lose, especially if the enemy brings up heavy or super heavy tanks. It's not ideal. But with the speed, if you can flank around and get into unexpected locations and get into good positions, you can do a lot of damage, sniping enemy light vehicles and anti-aircraft units which are more behind your lines. You also get a decent availability of the Rooikat in just a standard South African deck. You get 17 trained and 12 hardened, which is good because even though it's a pretty powerful unit, it's going to die. But think about it, it's a 50-point tank quotation mark. If you kill like one decent anti-aircraft unit or medium tank or few infantry units and transport, you pay yourself off. And that's really the important thing when using units, is that you trade efficiently. But overall, I really love the Rooikat 105. It can be a very cheesy unit. I mean, if you rush down the center of high rate issue and they don't spot you, I mean, you can blow up the enemy CV in just a few minutes. I hope we see Private Purgatory of South Africa sometime soon, because they definitely have a lot of potential. I do love how with this DLC, they didn't just release an overpowered piece of crap power creep nation. South Africa is pretty good, especially more on the 1v1 front, but you have to be good with it. I've jumped back into the game, and I find it quite hard playing South Africa. You can't just bring out super heavy tanks and blow the enemy to smithereens with overpowered units. You lack a lot of armor penetration with your vehicles. But if you can actually maneuver around and kill stuff, especially the Rooikat 105, it's such a pivotal unit for South Africa, you can really make it work, and you can just harass the hell out of the enemy rear. And yeah, it's an awesome unit, it's an awesome DLC, and expect more units of the Reeks around some awesome South African units. And well, I'm going to leave it off at that. This has been another Rang Rouge unit of the week. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as usual, please just take it easy.